It was 2 a.m. at the University of Lagos. For most students, this was the hour of deep sleep or desperate last-minute cramming in the comfort of their hostels. For Amara, it was the start of her shift. The corridors of the Faculty of Science smelled of damp concrete and old dust. Amara, 21 years old, with eyes that held the weariness of a 50-year-old, dipped her mop into the bucket. The water turned grey instantly. She wore a faded blue cleaning tunic that hung loosely on her frame, a size too big, emphasizing how little she had eaten in the last 2 days. Her feet were encased in rubber slippers that had been stitched together with fishing line more times than she could count. She wasn't just the cleaner. To the faculty, she was a ghost, a nobody, a shadow that scrubbed away the footprints of the privileged. She moved into Lecture Hall 3B. The massive chalkboard was still covered in the scribblings of Professor Ageboye's advanced calculus class. Amara paused, leaning on her mop handle. Her eyes scanned the white chalk dust. "If the limit approaches infinity," she whispered, her voice parched. She traced the equation with her eyes. Professor Adeboye, brilliant as he was, had missed the variable in the third step of the derivation. It was a subtle error, one that would make the final answer collapse. Amara looked around. The hall was empty. The security guard, Papatunde, was dozing off at the gatehouse 3 buildings away. Trembling slightly, not from cold, but from a compulsion she couldn't control, she picked up a piece of straight chalk. Her hand moved fast. It was the only time Amara felt alive. When she was solving math, the hunger in her stomach vanished. The pain of sleeping on the hard floor of the Mama Nkechi laundry shop disappeared. There was only logic, order, and the beautiful symmetry of numbers. She corrected the error, solved the equation to its elegant conclusion, and boxed the answer. She quickly wiped the chalk dust from her fingers, grabbed her mop, and scrubbed the floor until her reflection was visible in the tiles. She had to finish before 4:30 a.m. That was when she had to sprint to the laundry shop in Akoka to catch 2 hours of sleep before sneaking back onto campus for her 8 a.m. lecture. She wasn't just a cleaner. She was the top student in the department. But in a world ruled by money and connection, being a genius in rags was a dangerous thing. The air inside Mama Nkechi's laundry shop was thick with the smell of starch, detergent, and damp heat. Amara lay curled up behind a mountain of unwashed suits and traditional Agbada attires. This was her home. She didn't pay rent. She paid in labor, ironing clothes for free on weekends, and in silence. If Mama Nkechi's husband found out she was sleeping there, she would be on the street. "Amara, stand up there!" Amara jolted awake. The morning light was filtering through the cracks in the wooden shutters. Mama Nkechi stood over her, hands on her hips. "You want to sleep your life away? It is 6:30. My customers will start coming soon. Go before my husband comes down." Amara scrambled to her feet. "Thank you, ma. God bless you, ma." "Hold this." Mama Nkechi thrust a small nylon bag into her hands. Inside were 2 balls of puff-puff that had gone cold from the previous night. "Eat. You are looking like a broomstick." Amara's eyes welled up. "Thank you, ma." She ran out into the chaotic Lagos morning. The yellow Danfo buses were already blaring their horns, conductors hanging off the doors screaming destinations. Amara didn't have money for a bus. She tightened the strap of her battered backpack, which held her most precious possession, her thesis draft, and began the long trek to the university gate. Hey, sorry to interrupt your listening for just a moment. If this story is speaking to you so far, I'd be really grateful if you'd subscribe and support the channel. It helps me keep creating more stories like this for you. Thank you. The lecture hall was freezing. The air conditioners hummed aggressively, a luxury that chilled Amara to the bone as her sweat-damping clothes dried on her skin. She sat in the very last row, trying to make herself invisible. Dr. Mrs. Obidike stood at the podium like a warlord. The head of department was a woman who wore her wealth like armor. Her weaves were Brazilian human hair, her shoes were Italian leather, and her jewelry gold. She didn't just teach, she held court. She despised poverty. To her, poverty was not a circumstance, It was a character flaw, a disease, and Amara was the carrier. Who can tell me the application of this theorem in fluid dynamics? Dr. Obidike asked, her voice sharp, echoing through the microphone. The class was silent. The children of senators and oil tycoons looked down at their iPads, avoiding eye contact. Nobody? Obidike sneered. I see. You all rely on your father's money to pass, but money cannot buy intellect. From the back, a hand rose tentatively. A hand with a frayed sleeve. Obidike's lip curled in disgust. Amara? Amara stood up. She could feel the eyes of 200 students on her. The theorem applies to the stress tensor in Navier-Stokes equations, specifically in modeling turbulence.
Amara spoke for 2 minutes. She didn't just answer the question, she expanded on it, referencing a paper published only 2 months ago in a Japanese journal. When she finished, the silence in the room was heavy. Dr. Obidike stared at her. It wasn't pride in her eyes. It was hatred, pure, unadulterated loathing. How dare this rat, this toilet cleaner, be smarter than her? Sit down, Obidike snapped. Amara sat. You might know the answer, oh, Amara, Obidike said, walking slowly up the aisle, her heels clicking ominously. She stopped at Amara's desk. She sniffed the air visibly. But intelligence is useless if you lack basic hygiene. The smell of bleach and sweat is distracting my class. If you cannot afford deodorant, perhaps you should drop out and focus on your primary career. I hear the toilets in the arts block are filthy. The class erupted in laughter, cruel, raucous laughter. Amara looked down at her desk, her nails digging into her palms until they bled. She didn't cry. She couldn't afford to cry. Tears were water, and she was dehydrated enough. 3 days later, the sky over Lagos had turned a bruised purple, heavy with impending rain. It was the deadline for the final year project submission. Amara hugged her project file to her chest. This was it. Optimization of traffic flow using chaos theory. It was her ticket out. With a first-class degree, she could get a scholarship abroad. She could escape the smell of bleach. She could buy a bed. The rain started suddenly, a torrential Lagos downpour that turned roads into rivers in seconds. Amara ran. She had no umbrella. She sprinted from the library towards the administrative block. The corridors were slippery with rainwater blown in by the wind. She rounded a corner, breathless, checking her cheap wristwatch. 3:55 p.m. Submission closed at 4 p.m. She didn't see Dr. Obidike coming out of the dean's office. They collided. It wasn't a hard collision, but momentum was a cruel mistress. Amara tried to stop, her worn-out slippers losing traction on the wet tiles. She flailed, her foot splashing into a puddle of muddy water that had gathered near a leaking roof. A spray of dark, gritty water arched through the air and landed squarely on Dr. Obidike's pristine, white designer heels and the hem of her expensive lace skirt. Time froze. Dr. Obidike looked down at her feet. Then she looked at Amara. The veins in the lecturer's neck bulged. I am so sorry, ma, Amara gasped, dropping to her knees, pulling a rag from her pocket to wipe the shoe. Pa! The slap echoed down the corridor, louder than the thunder outside. Amara fell back, holding her cheek. Her ears rang. You filthy animal! Dr. Obidike screamed. Her face was twisted into a mask of demonic rage. You dare touch me? You dare spill filth on me? You gutter rat? It was an accident, ma. Please. Accident? Obidike grabbed Amara by the collar of her soaked shirt. You did this on purpose. You are jealous.
You are envious of your betters. You think because you memorize a few formulas you are on my level. No, ma. Please, I need to submit my project. Amara cried, holding up the file. Dr. Obidike's eyes shifted to the file. A cold, serpentine smile replaced the rage. Your project. She snatched the file from Amara's trembling hands. Follow me, Dr. Obidike commanded. She didn't wait. She marched into her office. Amara scrambled after her, water dripping from her clothes onto the plush rug of the HOD's office. Inside, Dr. Obidike sat behind her massive mahogany desk. She placed the project file in the center of the desk. She didn't look at the mud on her shoes anymore. She was focused on a greater destruction. You know, Amara, I have watched you. You walk around this faculty with your head high, thinking you will graduate and become somebody.
You think you will leave the gutter? I just want to learn, Ma, Amara whispered, shivering. You can never make it in life, Obidike said, enunciating every word. Some people are born to lead, and some are born to serve. You are a servant, Amara. You have forgotten your place. Please, Ma, the deadline. There is no deadline for you. Dr. Obidike opened the file. She looked at the handwritten pages, the complex graphs drawn by hand because Amara couldn't afford a computer printout. This is plagiarism, Obidike declared. What? Amara's breath hitched. No. I wrote every word. I solved the equations myself. I say it is plagiarism, and as the head of department, my word is law. Dr. Obidike opened her drawer and pulled out a pair of heavy scissors. Ma, please, no. It took me 6 months. Amara lunged forward, but Obidike slammed her hand on the intercom button. Security, come to my office. I have a violent student here. Then, looking directly into Amara's eyes, Dr. Obidike began to cut. Snip. The title page fell. Snip. Rip, 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 rip. She didn't just cut. She tore. She ripped the pages in handfuls. The sound of tearing paper was the sound of Amara's heart breaking. No, please, my life. That is my life, Amara screamed, falling to her knees, trying to grab the confetti of paper raining down. You have no life, Obidike yelled, throwing the shredded remains into Amara's face. You are a cheat, you are a thief, and you are expelled. 2 heavy security guards burst into the room. Get this trash out of my office, Obidike commanded. She attacked me, she ruined my clothes, and tried to steal exam papers. Take her ID card. Throw her out of the gate. Ma, please, have mercy, Amara wailed, clinging to the leg of the desk. One of the guards grabbed her by the waist. The other grabbed her arm. They dragged her backward. You are finished in this school, Obidike screamed after her, her voice following them down the hallway. Do not let me see you near this campus again. If you come back, I will have you arrested. Go back to the gutter where you belonged. They threw her out the main gate like a sack of garbage. Amara landed hard on the wet asphalt. Her backpack landed next to her, empty of the hope it once carried. The heavy iron gates of the University of Lagos slammed shut with a finality that vibrated through her bones. She stood up slowly. Her knee was bleeding. Her cheek was swollen from the slap, but the pain in her chest was far worse. It was a void, a black hole where her future used to be. The rain beat down on her, washing away her tears, mixing with the mud on her clothes. She had nothing. No degree, no job. The cleaning contractor would fire her the moment Obidike called. No home. She began to walk. She didn't know where she was going. Her feet moved on autopilot, carrying her away from the place that promised her salvation and delivered her hell. She walked for hours. The sun began to set, casting long, menacing shadows over the city. She found herself at the chaotic Oshodi interchange. The noise was deafening, music blasting from speakers, thousands of feet stomping, the smell of exhaust and roasting corn. But Amara felt alone in the crowd. She climbed the pedestrian bridge and stopped in the middle. She looked down at the cars rushing beneath her, streaks of red and white lights blurring together. She gripped the railing. Her knuckles were white.
God, she screamed, her voice cracking. God, are you there? Passers-by glanced at the mad girl screaming at the sky, then hurried on. In Lagos, everyone had their own madness. They didn't have time for hers. Why me? She sobbed, sinking down until her forehead rested against the cold, rusty railing. I did everything right. I studied when they slept. I starved so I could buy books. I cleaned their filth. Why did you let her win? Why? The rain intensified, hammering against her back. You can never make it in life, Obidike's voice echoed in her head. Amara closed her eyes. Maybe she was right. Maybe the world wasn't built for people like her. Maybe she should just stop fighting. She looked through the railing at the concrete below. It looked peaceful. Then, a sound cut through the chaos. Below the bridge on the service lane, a sleek black Rolls-Royce Phantom had ground to a halt. Smoke was billowing from under the hood. Traffic was building up behind it, horns blaring impatiently. Amara looked down. She wiped the rain from her eyes. A driver in a uniform had jumped out, panicking, waving his hands. He opened the back door. An elderly man fell out, clutching his chest, collapsing onto the muddy road. The crowd gathered, watching, filming with their phones, shouting, "Eya!" but doing nothing. The driver was screaming for help, trying to lift the man, but the man was dead weight. Amara's eyes sharpened. The despair didn't leave, but the instinct took over, the same instinct that saw the error on the chalkboard. She saw the way the man was clutching his left arm. She saw the color of the smoke coming from the car, blue, white, electrical fire, not engine overheating. The automatic locks were likely jammed, trapping his medication inside. She looked at the drop. It was high, but there was a pile of sand left by construction workers on the side. You can never make it in life. Watch me, a tiny voice inside her whispered. Amara climbed over the railing. She didn't jump to die, she jumped to work. She landed in the sand, rolled, and sprinted toward the dying billionaire. The rain at Oshodi was relentless. Amara, covered in sand and mud from her jump, sprinted toward the stalled Rolls-Royce. The driver, a man in a soaking white uniform, was slapping the windows, screaming in panic. "The doors, they won't open. The central lock is jammed. Chief is inside." Amara didn't scream. She analyzed. She saw the faint blue spark arcing near the side mirror. Short circuit in the master control unit. The safety mechanism has engaged, sealing the car. "Move!" Amara shoved the driver aside, not with strength, but with authority. She dropped to her knees in the mud beside the front wheel well. Her mind flashed back to the physics textbook she had memorized in her second year. "Do you have a metal pin? A key? Anything?" she yelled at the driver. He fumbled and handed her a tire gauge. Perfect. Amara reached under the chassis, her hands groping blindly for the emergency release cable housing. She found the panel. She jammed the tire gauge into the gap, leveraging it against the locking pin. She calculated the torque in her head. Too soft, nothing happens. Too hard, it snaps. She applied pressure. Her muscles screamed. The rain blinded her. Click. The deadlock disengaged. Amara ripped the back door open. Chief Williams lay slumped on the cream leather seats, his face an ashen gray, his hand clutching a bottle of pills he hadn't been able to open. "He's not breathing," the driver wailed. "Quiet," Amara commanded. She climbed into the luxury car, her muddy clothes staining the pristine interior. She didn't care. She placed her hands on the chief's chest. Sternum, intercostal spacing, rhythm. She began compressions. 1, 2, 3, 4. "Come back, sir. Please come back. You cannot die on a bridge. It is mathematically, statistically improbable for you to die here, she muttered to herself, using logic to fight off the panic. She grabbed the pill bottle, popped the cap with her teeth, and placed a tiny nitroglycerin tablet under his tongue. Breathe! She pumped his chest again. Suddenly, the chief gasped, a jagged, desperate intake of air. His eyes flew open, wide with terror, locking onto Amara's face. He saw a girl who looked like she had crawled out of a swamp, but whose eyes burned with the intensity of a savior. You, he wheezed. Don't speak, sir, Amara said, her voice softening. We are going to the hospital. She turned to the driver. The electrical fault caught the ignition, bypassed the starter relay under the hood, connect the red wire to the battery terminal directly. Go. The driver obeyed without question. The engine roared to life. As the car sped toward the hospital, Amara sat on the floor of the Rolls Royce, holding the hand of a billionaire, shivering as the adrenaline faded into exhaustion. 2 days later, the private ward of St. Nicholas Hospital. The room smelt of lavender and expensive disinfectant. Amara stood by the door, wearing a clean, oversized t-shirt the nurses had given her. She was ready to leave. She had nowhere to go, but she couldn't stay here. Don't go, a deep voice rumbled. Chief Williams was sitting up in bed, looking frail but commanding. He was a man who had built an empire from dust, a man who respected grit. Sir, I just wanted to make sure you were okay. I have to find a place to sleep. The driver told me what you did. He said you knew exactly where the bypass was.
You are a mechanic? No, sir. I am a student. I was a student. Studying what? Mathematics and physics. Chief Williams raised an eyebrow. He pointed to the table beside his bed. It was covered in files, financial reports, stock projections, confusing spreadsheets that his accountants had brought earlier. My head is aching, Williams sighed. These fools tell me my logistics company is losing money, but they can't tell me where. They say it's unforeseen variables. Amara stepped closer. She glanced at the open spreadsheet. Her eyes scanned the rows of numbers. Patterns emerged. Numbers spoke to her. It's not unforeseen variables, she said quietly. It's the fuel consumption ratio in your northern fleet. The variance between the reported mileage and the fuel cost is 15%. Someone is siphoning fuel at the Kaduna depot. And your tax calculation on row 40 is using the old 2023 bracket, costing you an extra 4 million naira. Silence. Chief Williams stared at her. He picked up the paper, looked at row 40, then looked at Amara. He picked up his phone and dialed his CFO. Check the Kaduna depot and check the tax bracket on the logistics report. Yes, I will wait. A pause. I see. Fire the depot manager. Correct the tax. He hung up. He looked at Amara as if she were a diamond he had found in a pile of coal. You are homeless? Yes, sir. You have no family? No, sir. And you have no job? My lecturer, she destroyed my project. I was expelled 2 days ago. Chief Williams' face darkened. He knew the cruelty of academia. He knew the cruelty of people. He had a wife who was a lecturer, a woman he had grown to despise for her coldness, though he kept up appearances for society. He didn't know the connection yet, but he felt a kinship with this broken genius. My wife, Williams said bitterly, is always complaining that she cannot find worthy people. She says everyone is lazy, but she is blind. I have been praying for an heir, someone with a brain, someone with a heart. He extended a hand. My name is Chief Williams, and you are no longer homeless, Tamara. You are my new personal assistant. And if you fixed my company the way you fixed my car,
You'll be much more than that. 3 months passed. The transformation was not magic, it was efficiency. Amara didn't just work, she optimized. She lived in the guest wing of Chief Williams's massive Ikoyi mansion. She barely saw the chief's wife, who spent her weeks at the university staff quarters or traveling for conferences, only returning on select weekends when Amara was busy at the office.
The street rat was gone. In her place was a young woman in sharp, tailored pantsuits. Her skin, nourished by good food and rest, glowed like polished mahogany. She wore glasses now, framing her intelligent eyes. She sat in the boardroom of Williams' group of companies. The executives, men in their 50s, listened to her. The projection suggests we diversify into solar integration for the rural towers, Amara said, pointing to the hologram chart. It reduces overhead by 30% in 2 years. Chief Williams watched her from the head of the table. He smiled. It was the smile of a father watching his child take her first steps. Approved, Williams said. Amara, prepare the files. We are going to the University of Lagos tomorrow. Amara froze. The laser pointer in her hand shook slightly. Unilag, sir? Yes, Williams nodded. The Vice-Chancellor invited me. I am the special guest of honor for this year's convocation. I am donating a new ICT library. And he paused, looking at her significantly. My wife, Dr. Obidike, will be receiving an award for Department of the Year. I want you there. Amara's blood ran cold. Obidike. She hadn't told him the name of the lecturer. She was too ashamed, too afraid that the chief would side with his wife. Sir, Amara stammered. I don't think I should go. I have work. Nonsense. William stood up. You are the one who designed the budget for the new library. You deserve to be seen. You are not a shadow anymore, Amara. You are the future of this company. I want to introduce you to the world. I want to introduce you to my wife. Maybe she can learn something from you. The irony tasted like ash in Anara's mouth. Wear the gold dress, Williams commanded gently. The one we bought in Dubai. Tomorrow, we enter as kings. The University of Lagos multipurpose hall was packed. The air conditioning fought a losing battle against the heat of 3,000 bodies. Parents in vibrant asoebi fanned themselves. Graduating students in black gowns took selfies. On the high table, Dr. Mrs. Obidike sat like a queen. She wore a massive gele that blocked the view of the person behind her. She checked her diamond wristwatch, the one she prized above all else. She was in a good mood. Her department had the best results. After she had purged the undesirables, the annoying girl, Amara, was long gone, probably selling pure water in traffic by now, Obidike thought with a smirk. Distinguished guests, the master of ceremony announced, his voice booming. Please rise to welcome the billionaire philanthropist, the lion of industry, Chief Bode Williams. The hall erupted in applause. Dr. Obidike stood up, clapping elegantly, a wide plastic smile on her face. That was her husband, her ticket to power. The double doors at the back swung open. Chief Williams walked in, waving. He looked younger, energized, and right beside him, walking step for step, was a vision. A young woman in a gold floor-length gown that shimmered like liquid sunlight.
She walked with a grace that silenced the murmurs near the aisle. Dr. Obidike squinted. The girl looked familiar. But no, it couldn't be. The girl walked closer. The lights caught her face. Dr. Obidike stopped clapping. Her hands froze in mid-air. Her mouth opened slightly. It was the rat, the toilet cleaner. Amara locked eyes with Dr. Obidike from across the hall. She didn't look down this time. She didn't tremble. She held the gaze. Chief Williams climbed the stage, guiding Amara up the stairs with a protective hand on her back. He took the microphone. Thank you, Williams said. Today is a special day. I am here with my personal assistant and the new director of strategy for Williams Group, Miss Amara. The applause was polite but confused. Who was this girl? Williams turned to the high table. And of course, my wife, Dr. Obidike. He gestured for Amara to greet her. Amara walked toward the woman who had destroyed her life. Dr. Obidike was pale, her makeup unable to hide the shock. Good afternoon, ma, Amara said, her voice amplified by the podium mic. It was calm, respectful, but laced with steel. Dr. Obidike stood up shakily. She had to hug her. The cameras were flashing. She leaned in, her body stiff. How? Obidike hissed into Amara's ear, venom dripping from the whisper. How did you get in here, you witch? Did you sleep with him? Is that it? Amara pulled back, smiling for the cameras. I walked, ma. Something you said I couldn't do. You will regret coming back, Obidike whispered, her eyes darting around like a trapped animal. I crushed you once. I will crush you again. You don't belong here. The reception was held in the university guest house. Waiters circulated with trays of champagne and small chops. Dr. Obidike watched from a corner. She was shaking with rage. Every time the chief introduced Amara to a senator or a professor, Obidike felt a stab in her chest. The girl was stealing her light. The girl was stealing her husband. She saw the chief laugh at something Amara said. He touched Amara's shoulder with pride. He never touched Obidike like that. She must go, Obidike muttered to herself. Tonight. She couldn't fire her. She couldn't fail her. She needed something criminal, something disgraceful. Obidike looked at her wrist, the diamond watch. It was worth 20 million naira. She saw Amara leave her handbag on a chair to go get a glass of water for the chief. The opportunity was perfect. The devil provided. Obidike moved. She was a serpent in silk. She glided through the crowd, greeting people, laughing falsely. As she passed the chair, her hand moved with the speed of a magician. She unclasped the watch. In one fluid motion, she slipped it into the open side pocket of Amara's gold clutch bag. She walked away, counting down the seconds. 3, 2, 1. My watch! Dr. Obidike screamed, shattering the chatter of the party. The music stopped. My diamond watch! It's gone! She wailed, clutching her wrist, playing the victim perfectly.
Someone stole it. Lock the doors. Chief Williams rushed over. Calm down, Ne. Are you sure you didn't drop it? I had it 2 minutes ago, Obidake cried, pointing a shaking finger. It was a gift from the governor. It is stolen. There is a thief among us. She turned her eyes slowly, dramatically toward Amara. We must search everyone, Obidake declared, her voice trembling with fake sorrow. Starting with the strangers, the people who don't belong. She pointed straight at Amara. Start with her. Amara stood frozen, holding the glass of water. The room fell silent. The trap had snapped shut. The silence in the university guest house was heavy, suffocating. The air conditioner hummed, but the room felt incredibly hot. Search her! Dr. Obidake screamed again, her finger pointing at Amara like a loaded gun. She is the only stranger here. She is a street girl my husband picked up out of pity. Once a thief, always a thief. Amara stood alone in the center of the circle that had formed. Her hands were shaking, not from guilt, but from the trauma of the past. It was happening again. The humiliation, the powerlessness. Chief Williams stepped forward, his face unreadable. Ne, he said to his wife, be careful what you say. I am sure, Chief, Obidake retorted, playing to the crowd. I felt someone bump into me. It was her. Search that bag. She snatched the gold clutch from the chair where Amara had left it. She didn't wait for security. She wanted the pleasure of the kill herself. Obidake unzipped the bag and dumped the contents onto the white tablecloth of the buffet table. Lipstick, a notepad, a cheap pen, and there, glinting under the chandelier lights, the diamond wristwatch. The crowd gasped. A collective "Hey!" rippled through the room. You see? Obidake shrieked, triumphant. She held the watch up like a trophy. I told you, she's a snake, a common thief dressed in borrowed robes. She turned to Amara, her eyes wide with malicious glee.
You thought you could come back here and shame me? You thought you could stand on the same podium as me? God has exposed you. You will rot in Kirikiri prison tonight. Amara looked at the watch, then at Chief Williams. Tears streamed down her face, ruining the makeup she wasn't used to wearing. Sir, Amara whispered, her voice breaking. I didn't take it. I swear on my mother's grave. I didn't touch it. Save your crocodile tears for the police, Obidake barked. She turned to the vice-chancellor. Prof, call the security. I want her arrested immediately. This is a disgrace to the university. 2 security guards stepped forward, handcuffs dangling from their belts. They reached for Amara. Wait. The word was spoken softly, but it carried the weight of a sledgehammer. Chief Williams held up a hand.
The guards froze. Chief, look at the evidence, Obidake cried, desperate to close the trap. It was in her bag. I see the evidence, Williams said slowly. He walked over to the table and picked up the watch. He looked at it, then he looked at his wife. His eyes were cold, devoid of the affection that had died years ago. You forgot something, ne? Williams said. What? Obidake blinked, confused. You forgot who built this hall, Williams said. He pointed to the ceiling. I donated this guest house to the university 5 years ago, and when I build, I protect my investment. He turned to the wall where a large LED screen was displaying a slideshow of the graduating students. Mr. Johnson, Williams called out to the AV technician in the corner booth. Switch input to the security feed. Camera 4, rewind 3 minutes. Dr. Obidaike's face went the color of ash. Security feed, she stammered, but the cameras are just for decoration. They don't work. In your department, maybe, Williams said dryly, but this is my building. My cameras are 4K resolution and they see everything. The technician typed hurriedly. The screen flickered. The slideshow of smiling graduates vanished. In its place, a grainy but crystal clear black and white footage appeared. The room was dead silent. Every eye was glued to the screen. On the screen, the timestamp ticked backward. Then it played forward. There was the buffet table. There was Amara setting her bag down to fetch water. And there was Dr. Mrs. Obidaike. The footage showed her clearly. She looked left. She looked right. She unclasped the watch from her own wrist. The diamond sparkled on the screen. With a quick practiced movement, she slipped it into Amara's bag. Then, she walked away and started screaming. The video froze on the frame where Obidaike's hand was inside Amara's bag. The gasp from the crowd this time was different. It wasn't shock, it was disgust. Jesus, someone shouted from the back. Wickedness, pure wickedness. Dr. Obidaike stood frozen. Her world was collapsing. The floor felt like it was tilting. She looked at the vice-chancellor. He was looking at her with absolute contempt. She looked at her colleagues. They were whispering, shaking their heads. It's doctored, Dr. Obidaike shrieked, her voice shrill and desperate. It's AI. He used technology to frame me because he sleeps with her. Enough, Chief, Williams roared. The sound made the glassware rattle. He walked up to his wife. For the first time, everyone saw the height difference. He towered over her. I picked you from a rented apartment in Yaba 20 years ago. I gave you a car. I gave you a name. I funded your PhD. I thought I married a partner, but I married a viper. He turned to Amara, who was still weeping silently. He walked over to her and placed a hand on her shoulder, not as a boss, but as a father. You tried to destroy this girl because she has the one thing you lack, Williams said to Obidaike, a good heart. You tore her project, you threw her in the mud, and now you try to send her to prison. He turned to the vice-chancellor. VC, I believe you have a code of conduct regarding staff integrity. The vice-chancellor stepped forward, adjusting his glasses. He looked furious. Dr. Obidaike, you are hereby suspended indefinitely pending a dismissal hearing. You have disgraced this institution. Security, escort her out. The same guards who had reached for Amara now turned toward Dr. Obidaike. Don't touch me, Obidaike screamed, swatting their hands away. Do you know who I am? I am Mrs. Williams. Not anymore, Chief Williams said coldly. My lawyers will send the papers tomorrow. Get out of my sight. The crowd parted like the Red Sea, but they didn't bow, they jeered. Students who had suffered under her tyranny, colleagues she had bullied, they all watched with satisfaction. As the guards dragged her out, kicking and screaming about witchcraft and plots, her wig slipped sideways. She looked exactly as she was inside, messy, desperate and small. She was shoved out the door into the humid Lagos night, the same darkness she had thrown Amara into months ago. Inside the hall, the atmosphere shifted. The evil had been purged. Chief Williams took the microphone. He looked at Amara. Amara, he said gently, wipe your face. She used the back of her hand, sniffling. Ladies and gentlemen, Williams addressed the room. I came here today looking for a successor. I have no biological children. I have prayed for years for someone to carry on my legacy. I thought I would find them among the first-class graduates. He paused. But character is not found in a GPA. It is found in the fire. He took Amara's hand and raised it. This girl saved my life when she had nothing. She fixed my company when she had no title. Today, before God and man, I declare that Amara is no longer my employee. She is my daughter, and she is the sole heir to the Williams empire. The room exploded. Applause, cheers, and ululations filled the air. The band struck up a celebratory high-life tune. Amara looked at the chief, stunned. Sir, call me Dad. He smiled, his eyes crinkling. Amara buried her face in his chest and sobbed, but this time they were tears of restoration. 6 months later, the convoy of SUVs navigated the potholed streets of Akoka. They didn't stop at the university. They went further, into the dusty, crowded streets where the struggling masses lived. The car stopped in front of a small, faded shop, Mama Nkechi Laundry Services. Mama Nkechi was outside, scrubbing a pair of jeans, sweating in the heat. Her business had been slow. She looked up as the luxury cars parked. She wiped her soppy hands on her wrapper, wondering if she was in trouble with the council. The back door of the lead SUV opened. A young woman stepped out. She wore simple jeans and a white shirt, but her aura was different. She glowed with health and peace. Mama Nkechi squinted. Customer, Mama, the young woman said. Mama Nkechi dropped the jeans. Her mouth fell open. Amara. Amara ran to her and hugged the soapy, sweaty woman tight. She didn't care about the debt. Amara, is it you? Mama Nkechi cried, touching Amara's face. Oh, joy. Look at you. You look like a queen. I am fine, Mama. God has been faithful. I heard. Mama Nkechi laughed, dancing a little jig. I heard on the radio, the billionaire's daughter. Hey, my God is good. Amara beckoned to her driver. He brought out a briefcase. Mama, Amara said, holding the woman's hands. You fed me when I had nothing. You let me sleep on your floor when the world threw me out. You were the only mother I had. She handed her the briefcase. This is the deed to this building. I bought it, and the one next to it. And here is a check to start your industrial laundry service. No more washing with your hands. Mama Nkechi fell to her knees in the dust, raising her hands to the sky. Chineke, Jehovah Ovadu, thank you. The neighbors gathered, cheering. Amara smiled, but she had one more stop. Amara walked back to the University of Lagos. She didn't need permission to enter anymore. She walked to the Faculty of Science. The corridors were the same, but the fear was gone. She stopped at the door of the HOD's office. The nameplate Dr. Mrs. Obidike was gone. In its place was a new sign, Prof. Adamu Ojo. Amara walked to the lecture hall, Hall 3B. It was empty. The chalkboard was clean. She picked up a piece of chalk. She remembered the night she stood here as a cleaner, hungry and hopeless. She remembered the slap. She remembered the shredder. As she walked to her car, she saw a woman standing near the gate selling cashew nuts from a tree. The woman was haggard, her skin rough from the sun, her wig matted. It was Dr. Obidike. After the scandal, no university would hire her. Her friends had abandoned her. The divorce had left her with nothing but the debts she had hidden. Obidike looked up and saw Amara. She saw the security detail. She saw the peace in Amara's eyes. Obidike lowered her head, shame burning her face, and turned away to hide behind the kiosk. She couldn't bear the light. Amara paused. She could have mocked her. She could have called the police to chase her away. Instead, Amara turned to her driver. "Buy all her nuts and give her this." She handed the driver an envelope containing enough cash to start a small trade. Tell her the equation is balanced." Amara got into the car. As they drove away, she watched the university fade into the distance. She wasn't the girl who was thrown out. She was the cornerstone upon which a new legacy was built. The stone the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. Wickedness may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. In this life, never despise the days of humble beginnings, for no condition is permanent. The world is like a marketplace. You never know who you will meet at the exit gate. Be careful how you treat the people you pass while climbing the ladder of success, for they are the exact same people you will meet on your way down. Amara's journey teaches us a timeless truth. When you try to bury a seed, you do not destroy it. You only provide the darkness it needs to grow towards the light. Destiny is not written by the pen of man, but by the will of God. If this story touched your heart or reminded you to never give up, please hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our next emotional tale. Don't watch this alone. Share the story with your friends and family on WhatsApp and Facebook. And before you go, tell us in the comment section, have you ever had a moment where someone looked down on you, only for you to prove them wrong? Let's talk about it below.